Hello, writers. Come write with me. My name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Mykela. I'm very excited to have you join me on my channel, so don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. Today, we're going to discuss some terms or ideas, and then we will add to a down soldier. That's our writing prompt is a down soldier. So, our terms today are revamp and banal, or banal. Revamp is a verb and means to give a new and improved form, structure, or appearance to something. Some synonyms are renovate, redecorate, refurbish, recondition, rehabilitate, rebuild, overhaul, modernize, update, and many more. How can we use this in our stories? Most of us are not remodeling homes or buildings in our stories, but certainly your characters can revamp their plans. I believe it was Einstein that said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Our characters are fighting for a cause. Some of them are, not necessarily fighting for battles, because some of them you might have dramas and romance and stuff like that. So you're fighting to keep the relationship together or something. So anyway, you're fighting for a cause or working towards some end or goal. If things aren't working, then they need to be revamped. The characters need to revamp what they're doing. Now, I don't discuss politics on this channel, but in real life, there are polls that tell politicians how their campaign is going. So if the politician is polling low, then he or she will revamp their campaign, or their campaign managers will revamp their campaign to see if a different message can raise their numbers. The same is true for companies. If their stock prices are sinking, they will revamp things to make their business more profitable and more appealing for people to invest in. And then, of course, more people will invest in their stock when it's more profitable or it looks better, that kind of thing. People look at all kinds of numbers to decide if they invest in the stocks or not. Now, of course, that was one side. The other side is there's another saying, don't fix something that isn't broken. So in my humble opinion, many schools have done this. One policy was called No Child Left Behind. But the effects, here's the big thing, the name and the effects are totally different. The effects of this policy were no child may excel. Because as teachers, we were only allowed to raise the level of learning to the lowest student. If you had a student up here, you couldn't teach to this student. You could only teach up to here. Because we couldn't leave this child behind, so we can't let this child excel. That was the effect. And when governments name things like this, we ought to be careful and see if we can read the fine print and see if we can figure out what the effects are. Now, in my opinion, this hurt education. These kids up here, they're so bored with this down here. They get it, or they have help at home. When these kids may not have help at home. That's why they can only, not that they're not smart, but they just have nothing helping them to get over that leap to get the education up. So there were problems in the school system before. Okay, so I'm not saying there weren't problems, but they tried to fix what they tried to fix broke the system even more, because they didn't understand why those students were so low. Okay, as teachers, we saw it. We saw, like, I saw kids that I was teaching high school. So they had both their parents working 2 jobs. After school, they had to go work. They couldn't come to tutoring morning or evening because they were working. They were in the morning, they're getting their younger siblings ready to go to school. In the evening, they're working. They can't miss work. They had no time to come to tutoring. They had no parents at home to help them with their homework. And they were the ones helping their younger siblings with their homework, although they didn't have the basics themselves. So that you're not going to raise that level of student. And it's not that they're not smart. Like I said, some of them were very smart, but they just didn't have the time or the to put the effort into just learning a little bit to get them over the hump. So if we had investigated why these kids are here and these are up here, then we wouldn't have had to say these have to come down. And that's what the policy did. Instead, they should have said, okay, what can we do to support these kids that have parents that are working 2 jobs, or they're in a single family home and they're having to work to pay bills and stuff like that. Their families depended on them working. It wasn't a choice for those kids. So, like I said, there were problems with the school system, but what they tried to fix actually broke the system even more. So instead of having people appear, our doctors, our lawyers, or whatever, we're bringing them down. So that now, maybe our doctors and lawyers aren't as smart as they were back then either. So that's the opposites. So I brought that out not because of the revamp. They did revamp, but it didn't work. So there's 2 parts to that revamping. If something's not working, you need to revamp it. If it is working, leave it alone. Don't break it. As writers, you have to decide if your characters will revamp their plans and their strategies, or if they will believe things are working and therefore shouldn't change things. So if they're like Einstein would say, they're a little insane because they think things are working, or they think doing the same thing will get a different result. That doesn't work. So are your characters fixing something that isn't broken, like the school example? Are they insane and expecting different results from the same action? This time it'll work. This time it'll work. Or are they revamping things in an appropriate and productive way? And then as writers, we have to go further. We have to go further. Our characters revamp their plans, but then we have to think, what are the consequences of revamping if they did revamp? Did things work this time? Did things improve or get worse? Did the protagonist revamp their plans as the antagonist revamped their plans? So it was a wash. But if the protagonist hadn't revamped while the antagonist revamped, then it would have changed the power dynamics there. So, did either side anticipate the revamped plans of the other side? So as writers, we have to think through all these things. And like I said, when a government names a program like No Child Left Behind, well, who's going to argue with that? None of us want any children to be left behind. So we go with the revamping. And then as teachers, we see that it's not working out or it's not good, and there's nothing we can do about it because the politics is like, well, if you go against it, then you don't want these kids to be lifted up. It's like these kids can't lift up anymore because of other circumstances. So we need to think about these other circumstances. Anyway, off of the school, a side story kind of thing, but it helps us with our writing. What is the revamping, and is it good? Does it succeed? Does it help? And if they revamp their plans and it doesn't quite work, it's better, but doesn't quite, like maybe they're here and they get to here, but they want to be to here, right? So maybe they do it and they're to here and they're like, oh, I see, I could do this, and that'll get me there. So maybe there's steps to the revamping as well. Lots of questions, many directions to go, so much fun. Writing is the best job, the best career you can have. And if it's not a job or a career, then it is the best hobby you can have, because you can escape everything and just look at these things that you're writing about. Have fun, revamp plans, see where it takes your story. If you don't like the result, edit it. That's a difference, that we can edit in our stories. You can't edit the government policies so much. You have to wait until they get reelected, and then that person that's reelected has to put the plans forth to these other people that you have no power to elect at all. So is you just elect the one person going, or the two people going into the House, or two people going into the Senate, or whatever it is. You elect those, but they have to influence all the other 50 people. So revamping the government is very hard, even when you see disastrous results in the classroom or in daily life. So we get to have fun. As writers, we can do anything. Leave a comment on real life or a show, book, or movie where the sentiment was, we have to change what we're doing because this isn't working. Our next term today is banal. Banal means so lacking in originality as to be obvious and boring. Some synonyms are trite, hackneyed, cliche, platitudinous. Now, we discussed platitudes in one of our episodes. I'd have to look it up. I didn't look that up. We'd have to we have discussed platitudes. You can just type in Write with Mykela and then platitudes, and you can see what episode. Maybe I could do that real fast. I don't know that I can. Episodes. I hate not to tell you what it is. Okay, control find. Plati. Platitude. Okay, we did that in season 3.3, episode 41. Okay, so let me type that in there. Somebody asked for the script. 3.3, episode 41. Okay. So you can go and rewatch that and see what we discussed with platitudes. I believe I remember something like, it was just like a statement like, that didn't really help you. Like if somebody was grieving or something, the platitude didn't really help. But I could be mistaken because that was a whole season ago. So go watch that video. Anyway, synonyms. We said platitudinous, vapid, commonplace, ordinary, common stock, conventional, stereotyped, predictable, overused, or overdone. And half a page more of that. So, on this channel, I try to be original, but of course some parts are banal. Like I tell you every time, hit the like and subscribe and to ring the bell. And then I ring a bell. And maybe the first time you heard that, it might have been, oh, okay, that's cute. But then you're like, oh, she's got to do that again. I forgot about that. Let me scroll past that. So some parts are banal. But there's got to be some consistency too. So I'm trying to be consistent. I'm trying to have the beginning and the end to be very consistent so you can recognize those parts. Then the middle should be the creative part. Now, you have probably heard on so many channels that you feel that it's overdone and banal. Oh, hit the like, hit the like. Don't forget to hit the like. Hit the like and subscribe. And the bell. All these channels are telling you this, that you're like, oh, I've heard that. I've heard that. I don't need to hear it anymore. Most every channel introduces the host or the content creator. Hello, my name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventure. I'm introducing myself. I'm telling you about the channel. So, but after you've heard it once or twice, and now this is the 4th season, you're probably like, that is banal. That is not original. That is not creative. That kind of. And the lawyer, he has actually people helping him do his. So, my screen is like a purple screen, is right with Mykela, and it's just that, and then it scrolls up with the goose, and then at the end it'll scroll up with the email address and the website and stuff. So, but the lawyer, he has little clips pushed together to make like a little bitty intro. He calls it an intro and an outro. So he has little things, he has music, and after so many months he changes those, so it keeps things interesting for his people, where I haven't changed mine. But after you watch several episodes, you might feel like, I know who you are. Let's get on with it. Even with the lawyer, it's like, I don't need the intro. Just get with the content. In other areas of life, there are dishes to do, clothes to wash. That can be a banal aspect of life. And we don't want our stories bogged down with it. Now, I enjoyed Sookie's Stackhouse by Charlene Harris. But Sookie did do a lot of banal things, like washing clothes and taking showers. But there was plenty of action as well. Sometimes the banal things were a rest from the action. And I've discussed balancing things. Unless you write pure action. Go, 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 go. Never stop. Some people prefer that in a story. But like I said, in Sookie, she took, it's like, I don't need to read about her taking a shower. But that was rest. She'd been stressed. She's coming down from it. She just wants to relax. She has a headache. She takes a shower. She relaxes. So that was kind of the balance there. When I write, I want my readers to get to know my characters. So there will be some banal things. Some of the everyday things that you do and stuff like that. Like Sookie, she would go to the library, check out books. I didn't care about that. Except that one time that she got shot at or something like that at one of the, as she was leaving the library. I think that's what it was. She got shot at. Anyway, she didn't get hurt. Or she didn't die. Anyway, so I know she likes to go to the library. She likes to read. So I'm getting to know her as she's doing these banal things. But hopefully those parts don't drag out too long. And in Sookie, they didn't. Because like I said, she's going to the library and somebody shoots at her. So, something happened in her normal, everyday kind of thing. Now, also you can have a character who at the beginning of the story has a banal existence. Like Frodo in Lord of the Rings. Frodo was happy in his village, living day to day. Then Bilbo gave him the ring. And he set off on an adventure that he wasn't prepared for. After such an experience, he was changed forever. And the Hobbit village never felt the same. So you can start your story with this way, with normal life. Normal life can be a banal existence. And then boom, something happens. Send your character off on an adventure or something, romantic relationship of their life or whatever. And if you're writing murder, it could be a romantic relationship until they're murdered or whatever, and then the rest of the story is the detective work. Whatever, writing is fun. Tahia's life was banal and mundane. You know, she went into the forest, she did the hunting, she grew the herbs, she went to the village center and exchanged what she got and got money, she got milk, she got eggs, she ate biscuits. It was banal, mundane, until she went to the special area and the meeting in the tree, right? And still, when she came back home, things in her village had tightened down. The tyranny had tightened down, but she still was like, okay, gonna live every day. And then her mentor came to get her. Now, Kirsha, Kirian, and Kilty had banal lives in the village. They might go for a picnic, and Kirsha embroidered, and she taught Kilty, and Kirian did the woodwork, and They had banal lives until Kilty was bitten by the ravenous Vaporus. And off they go. Right? So leave a comment on a show, book, or movie. Probably a movie or a book would be more than a show, where normal life was banal until something happened and the hero or the character set off on his or her journey or their journey. Now let's turn to your stories with a down soldier. First, remember that all works shared on the channel are copyright protected, so there is no worry. Send your writings to writewithmykela@gmail.com. I look forward to reading your stories on the channel. We've written on this 22 times. We started this story in season 3.1, episode 11. And I will list the rest of the episodes in the details below. Click the more. If you remember back, the first writing prompt was to imagine a soldier that came to after a big battle. And then we went from there. We don't have a shared plot for this, but I hope you're having fun. I hope you have an intriguing protagonist and an active goal or problem. You have high stakes or stakes of some kind, plus a ticking clock. Tick, 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 tick. And all of that is interrelated and building to your climax. These are the elements to a good story, along with some good editing. Pause the video, write a page or two, or at least a paragraph. A lot of writers aim for 500 words a day to see. So use this to see if you can, use this writing prompt to see if you can meet your own personal writing goal. Then come back and I will read what I wrote. Welcome back, writers. Now let me read what I wrote. After they had caught their breaths, Jules and Kipley started going around the city to learn what was there. Vic and Thace told them they would meet at the fountain she saw more toward the center. She was going to see if she could find Burdock and then someplace to sleep. Kipley found a barn and the stall in the stalls were stone horses. Kipley didn't know what to make of that, but he put the goat in a stall and he found some hay and gave the goat some. Jules found a water well and brought the goat some water for the trough. Jules and Kipley also drank some water. Next, they went to the fountain. Kipley wasn't sure why Miss V called it a fountain, but it was beautiful. All the other fountains had been beautiful as well, but they had water flowing over them or spouting out the top. Kipley reached down in the stagnant water in the bottom and scooped out some weeds and other green stuff. He tossed it to the side. This would be great if it worked. Why don't you turn it on? Asked a voice. Kipley and Jules both jumped and spun around. They saw the wizard, or the overseer of events. Kipley didn't remember precisely. Kipley said, "Oh, sir, you scared us. Murdoch was yelling, and we thought someone was chasing him." Wavester chuckled. "I'm nothing scary. Now, why don't you turn on the fountain?" Kipley looked at Wavester for a few minutes. Then he turned to Jules. Come on and help me figure this out. Do you suppose that we need to clean the yucky stuff out of it first? Asked Jules. Yes, let's do that, said Kipling, and they started working. Wavester walked on. Kamek and Moss were walking through the woods, and they saw the wagon. Oh, what is this doing to me? Kamek walked around it and looked at it. Moss wanted to ask where everyone was. If y'all could see this, you would know what rough truck would mean. Okay. But he didn't say anything. Kamek looked in the back. Well, I think this was the wagon we were using. There's a chicken feather and some rabbit fur. But everyone is gone. Maybe we're near the city, suggested Moss. Kamek looked on the ground for footprints, and he spotted the smaller footprints of the two ladies and hoofprints of the goat. So he told Moss they would follow the prints. Moss followed along. He missed his wife and wanted to go home, and somewhere in his mind he was blocking her death and the horrific way in which he found her body. After they walked over half an hour, Kamek spotted the 3 horses. All 3 still had the halters. 2 had straps to attach them to the wagon, and the other had a lead line. Kamek tossed the lead line to Moss for him to lead, and he took the straps for the other 2 horses. At this point, he wondered why the ladies left the wagon in the middle of the woods. But he didn't go back. He didn't want to go back for it. He wanted all in his group to be back together again. Vikenthais, Lillian, and Sartla walked to the fountain as Kipling and Jules loosened the mechanism to activate the water flowing. Kipling backed up and admired it. Wow, fountains are really special. He looked around and asked what made them work. Vikenthais said, From what I understand, there is still magic in the land, and fountains are evidence of magic. She looked around. Did you find much of interest? Kipling glanced around. Excuse me. The sun was going down. No, and now it's almost night. We got too entertained with the fountain. He looked around again. But since he didn't see Wavester, he didn't mention him. Vikenthais looked up. Yes. If I didn't know I was in a tunnel, I would suspect I was on open land. We didn't find Burdock either. Maybe he ran straight through the city. Or he got tired, put in Sartla. Maybe he is sleeping. Could be, agreed Vikenthais. I found a place for us to sleep. I want us indoors when it is dark. So long as those lizard people don't live indoors, said Jules. We haven't seen any lizard people, said Lillian. Right, miss? Tell him. I do feel eyes upon me, stated Vikenthais, but haven't seen any lizard people. And I need to add a sentence there. Oops. I'm going to say, not even in stone. I haven't seen the lizard people. Hey, edit, right there. Okay, not even in stone. I seen typing and reading at the same time doesn't work. Have I seen the lizard people? Maybe we need to lock ourselves in somewhere, stated Jules. We found a single room, stated Vikenthais. We could put a chair in front of the door. The small group headed into the castle and up several staircases. They found a medium-sized room. The room had several beds of hay with a thin sheet over the beds, and a small chair was inside. They went in and put the chair behind the door. Kipling didn't think that would stop a lizard person, but he didn't say anything. A little window let in the last rays of the sun or the magic that seemed like the sun. Tomorrow they would explore more of the city. Okay, writers, that is what I'm adding today. The word count was almost 840 words until I added 4 or 5 more words. So maybe 845 or something like that. Well, I said almost. So maybe it's over 840 now. I don't remember what exactly the count was. Leave a comment on Wavisher just showing up. Is he good? Is he bad? Will he help them? If he's helping them, why does he want the fountain going? Is that a key? Was that just a nicety? Was that just to entertain the boys so they didn't get into trouble? What was that for? And just leave your thoughts. Leave a comment on the fountain. Do you like water fountains? I think some are exquisite, but some are mundane. I've been to, there's a fountain park in, I think it's Dallas, but it might be between Dallas and Fort Worth. It's a park, and the water is actually coming down the whole wall and into places, and they have a little steps and places to where you can walk along the path and kind of be in the middle of the fountain with the water on the walls coming down. It is beautiful. It is exquisite. You have to be careful because the steps can be slippery because, water splashes up. The steps are wet. You're not so far down, but if you fell, it would be bad, So leave a comment on if you like fountains, and leave a fountain that you were impressed with if you like fountains. Leave a comment on Kemek and Most finding the wagon and the horses. How did they get to that spot? Did Kemek really walk around the lizard person? Or did he just kind of walk and then the magic put him back? How does this work? How did they find the wagon and the horses? Leave those comments. Leave a comment on how Kemek decided it was the wagon they were using. Do you think many wagons in this setting might have chicken feathers and rabbit fur in them? Leave comments. And any thoughts that you have are right, because it is your perspective. It's how you see things. I don't want you to comment how I see things, as I am the writer. So I try not to tell you too many things or too many thoughts that I have, so that you can just leave the comments. My perspective is here. You can use my perspective as your antagonist or your protagonist or whatever. I want to know your perspective. Tell me your perspective. So all your comments will be correct. Join me Friday for Princess of Norwin and Steigergard. Join me Tuesday for a little jargon and adding to your story with a setting. Leave a comment on which story is your favorite so far. It could be your favorite that you are writing, or your favorite on the channel, or a favorite you have read. Also, leave a comment on what you are currently reading. I am a crazy person. I am reading dictionaries right now. I was reading Forever Fluent. I told you all about that a few weeks ago. And in his book, he said to help you with your language learning, there were certain things you needed. And one of those things was a frequency dictionary. So first he wanted you to concentrate on the pronunciation, how to pronounce the letters in whatever language. And then he wanted you to concentrate on the most frequent words, like the 2,000 words, the language, because then you can have like 90% or something of spoken language and 85% of written language or something like that. So that's my craziness right now. I'm reading frequency dictionaries and stuff. And like, what? I would think that's a very common word. And in German, what was like 65 or 60 or something like that. I was like, wow, that's way down the list. But they had, a lot of the languages have like I think the most frequent word in English is the. Then you have your prepositions like on, in, stuff like that. If you're going into the Chinese or Japanese, they have Like, ma is a question word in Chinese. Like, if you're asking a question, you say the same sentence and you put ma at the end. And that means it's like a question, the spoken question mark. So that's pretty common. I don't remember where it was. But then in Japanese, no was the most common. And the no is like of, at, in. It had several prepositions, so you could see how that would have been very, very, very common. So that's what I'm reading right now, is some frequency dictionaries. And it's very interesting. So leave a comment on if you recommend a book or author. Also, have you read any classics that you would recommend? So, what did he read? Oh, Pride and Prejudice. My husband found a YouTube or a podcast that read through, and Pride and Prejudice is like a really thick book. So he was kind of deciding between Moby Dick and Pride and Prejudice. And Pride and Prejudice is not his not his favorite genre or anything like that. But he decided to do that, and he pushed through it and got the whole book and stuff like that. I think he probably would have enjoyed Moby Dick a little better, but it gave him some things to think about, because it's like, I think the 1800s, the daughters were still sold to their husband's family, the dowry kind of system, and having to change their last name and all this stuff. I've not read Pride and Prejudice. I'm sure it's in my library somewhere, but I haven't read it. That's kind of daunting, right? Anyway, so leave a comment on if you recommend a book or author, or if you've read any classics that you would recommend. And if you found a podcast or something like that has the book, like my husband found the podcast for Pride and Prejudice, just leave that's available. Pride and Prejudice is read on whatever. So don't forget to visit my website by Mykela.com and read some character bios. Send your chapters to writewithmykela@gmail.com. Leave comments on your favorite characters and why they're your favorite. I like so-and-so. I like Shaful because she, extended her eye, and she could draw, or whatever, whatever it was that you liked about. Or I really liked Tahia because she was kind of innocent, or I really liked Boss because he wanted to flirt with Tahia, but he didn't want her to experiment on it. Whatever your comments are, if you like it, if you hate a character, oh, I really hated the such and such character, then you leave that. Oh, if you hit the like, here's the banal part, right? If you hit the like and subscribe and the bell notification, then we will continue to write together, and other people will have a higher chance finding this video and this channel, since your likes will push the video out to a greater audience. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, please share it with them. This is Mykela with Write with Mykela. Bye for now.